At times it was good, at other times it was very, very, very frustrating. I'm John Redden with my review of AEW Dynamite. This is very much a pendulum show. Hell, sometimes that pendulum swing from good all the way over to what the fuck is even going on anymore within the same segment or match, and then back again. It was like a metronome. What's that metronome I hear? Perhaps the end is drawing near. You never hear the con that takes you down. After last week's episode that I really thought was one of the better episodes of Dynamite in recent memory, at least in the last number of months, this episode would put on something I was really locked in on, and then they would put on a segment or a promo where I was like, oh boy, they should have done a retake, or oh boy, they thought that was a good idea to put that on the air. Yeah, pretty goddamn frustrating. Now, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. One thing I do want to say is I do like how the announcers will, bullet point the card right at the beginning or right after the first match, and then we'll talk about next week's card before the main event. That's some good stuff. That is one thing that AEW does get right. Even on episode of Dynamite, that may or may not be that good. They're good at, hyping the card and then getting you hyped for the next week's card. So that's some good stuff. So we start with Adam Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. Taz on commentary. So Page makes his entrance on the stage. And then Team Taz with Cage gloms Page on the stage. And then Cage powerbombs Page mainly on the stage. Actually, completely on the stage. And then the Dark Order come out because they were going to have a pull apart with Team Taz. But did they have it after the match? No, they decided to have it before the match even goddamn started, because we can't go more than 3 minutes without having a big pull apart brawl. Just have the paid wrestlers at ringside, the paid fans, just have them brawl. Hell, have the fans in the stands brawl and shoot that goddamn stuff, because it would mean just as much as anything else, among this faction warfare that keeps goddamn happening. And I know that plenty of wrestling companies over the years, WCW did a lot, hell, New Japan does it a lot with faction warfare and all that, but it gets to be overkill. It's really getting to be overkill. Now, that was a downer. However, what wasn't a downer was what they did with Cage and Page, because this is how they should have been featuring Cage like this. Page is a top guy. Even with the booking I haven't really cared for, don't care for the comedy with the Dark Order, he's being, cemented as one of the top guys and the guy that will eventually take the title off of Omega. Obviously, that's a number of months away. I think they're still going to wait probably until about November. They're probably going to let Omega have the title for about a year, more on the pity, but that seems to be the angle they're shooting for, because he's going to be the belt collector. He's collected the Impact title, which used to mean something years ago. But anyway, they've positioned Page as this top guy. Cage, they've kind of, I don't want to say they've necessarily floundered, but it's like they don't seem to really know what to do with him. I'm not Cage's biggest fan, but he just destroyed Page here. I mean, Page got in some shots, hit a nice moonsault outside, but Page basically got destroyed. Cage just beat him and beat him and beat him, hit a powerbomb, buckle bomb, drill claw, 1, 2, 3. There you go. If this leads to Cage going on a bit of a dominant run, even though he's the FTW World Champion, and that doesn't mean any goddamn thing. The FTW title didn't mean anything in ECW anyway. You need to stop pretending like it meant something. But if this leads to Cage getting the title shot, like maybe at the pay-per-view, well, I mean, at the pay-per-view would be a little bit too soon. Go on a number of months, of a run, get a shot at, All Out, and then have him lose there. Have him get a bit of an undefeated streak, and then this can actually pay off. I don't trust Tony Khan's booking, because Tony Khan's on the Herb Abrams diet, allegedly, but maybe they could do something good with Cage here, and Page will eventually get back to facing Omega. Whether that will mean anything or not, again, is subject to debate, because it said Herb Abrams died, allegedly. So, what wasn't good, though, was the Elite in a limo doing shit comedy. If I just put aside how I feel about, Callis, Omega, the Good Brothers, home of the Good Brothers, maybe we take your order, and the Bucks, and I'm calling the Insuffer Bucks, because that's what they are now. They've been insufferable for another number of months. But anyway, if I just put aside how I feel about them outside the ring, I still don't care for them as characters, and they're just doing their brand of shit comedy that just doesn't work for me. Callis is just doing the same goddamn shtick he's been doing since late 99, early 2000. Hell, even when he was the Jackal in WWE, so even a couple years before that. And Omega cannot cut a promo to save his goddamn life. He calls people non-sport, numbnut people. They did 20 takes, and that was the best one. And then Nakazawa honks the horn and they freak out, and everything, because when the truck ran their trailer last week, even though that was not a good segment, it was really badly staged. And Omega can't say motherfucker, which actually does make sense, even though it is cable and they say shit and son of a bitch a few times. He says mother, father, your mother, your sister, your father too. So, yeah, this really was badly staged and stuff like that. And oh yeah, we're going to have Nakazawa versus Eddie Kingston. Because we need to see Nakazawa in a goddamn wrestling ring in 2021. Wait, we don't need to see him in a wrestling ring at all. Don't worry, I will talk about that. Now, we get to something that had some good and then got really shitty. We have the Seidel brothers versus the Insufferbucks, and that's going to be their new name from now on. It's an AEW World Tag Title Eliminator match, and they get streamers, cutlers, filming them and stuff like that. And look, if the Bucks want to be heels, that's fine. But I don't know what the fuck they were wearing. Apparently, they stole it from Bill Dundee's dumpster, and this started fine, because when the Bucks actually want to, they can be something other than video game wrestlers. Now, I'm not saying they're great. I don't think that they're the greatest tag team in the world. I don't even think they're top 5. I don't even think they're top 10, personally. I probably could, comb through the tag team rankings and tag team divisions of various companies and find tag teams better than the Young Bucks. But that being said, I like what they did at Strong Style of All 2018. I like what they did at Revolution last year, and I've enjoyed some of their TV matches. I enjoyed what they did with MJF and Chris Jericho, even though the booking was a little bit weird. I enjoyed what they did at Revolution 2021. They can have good matches on occasion. This was just when they're trying to be douchey heels, they're trying to be unlikable. Jokes on them, they were unlikable birther dickheads before, and still are. But again, even just focusing on TV, I just didn't really find this match that interesting, because they're trying to, too sweet and all that. They're trying to do, all their buck shit. Except one of them has an ACL that's hanging on by a goddamn thread, apparently, and it's gotten old and stale, and eventually, and by the way, Callis joined commentary, so that might have been part of the reason why I was tuned out on this, because Callis is again doing the same shtick he did 20 years ago. And the Bucks hit a low blow and BT triggered on Mike Seidel 1, 2, 3. Now, bless Mike Seidel. He's actually not that bad, but he's clearly there because they don't want Matt to take the pins. And that's fine. They're a good brother tag team. So then SCU shows up, but so the Bucks retain, obviously. I think it was pretty obvious that they were going to retain. And then SCU come out. Kazarian says, Mr. Mitchell, if you could do me a favor and turn the music off. Kazarian, knocks their fashion choices. Pretty easy to do. $10,000 sneakers, allegedly, they wore last week. Who the fuck would pay $10,000 for sneakers? If you would, fine. I'm not going to knock you guys. I just don't fucking get it. I could find a better way to spend $10,000 even if I had a shit ton of money. Give some money to charity or whatever. Anyway, we're your biggest threat. Daniel says, when you both find your balls, sign on the dotted line and we'll take care of you. Or we'll take the titles from you, basically. But we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. No, he would have been really sinister saying that. Not Sinister the movie. That wasn't very good. Jade did a pre-tape and said that all these managers want a cut of Jade's pie. Okay. I'm not sure what the fuck she was going on about there, but apparently she wants to hoard her pie. Jade's pie is just for Jade alone, or for whoever she's dating. Whatever. I'm not here to kink shame, but I don't know why in the world Jade kept referring to her pie. Maybe she's a fan of The Rock. But she doesn't want her money being taken, basically. But again, they want a cut of Jade's pie. That's hilarious. So, where is my mind? Well, it's somewhere other than this match, even though there were a couple decent elements. It's Orange Cassidy with the Best Friends versus Penta with Alex. Can't say Alex's last name no matter how hard I try, so he's Alex. And my God, this guy is great. This guy's fucking great. You can tell he's having the time of his life. He's got that punchable face. He's really good on the mic, and he adds so much to Penta's character. Penta Bug, by the way, is what I wrote down here, because I don't know what the fuck that helmet was. But, hey, Penta's a really good athlete. He really is. And I have softened up a bit on the Orange Cassidy character. I still don't like the pocket stuff. I still don't think it's all that good. But you know what? He did some good stuff here. Penta with the pocket prevention. No, you will not do pocket stuff. And no pocket stuff for you. Alex catches the glove, and then the glasses are, missed by Trent because comedy. And then the arm drag with the arms in the pockets. I will say that was pretty impressive. Does it require cooperation? Sure. Every wrestling move requires cooperation. It was smooth. It looked good. I will say that. Penta bites the thumb, catches him on a dive, slams him into the apron, the hardest part of the ring. Dominates there in the break, gets a brain buster, and then pump handles sit out. I don't know how the hell he doesn't drop people on their heads as much of a professional as he is. That is a pretty damn cool move, though. Really, really sweet finisher. Actually, it kind of reminds me of Last of the Dragons. So then, he hits a destroyer and then beach break. But he can't make the cover. Later, one DDT off the ropes and a tornado DDT, and then Alex gets on the mic. Cassidy throws him in the ring. And while there's this distraction thing going on, Trent hands him Orange Cassidy the mic. Orange mic punch, 1, 2, 3, while Alex is being held by Trent, and the referee just lets that go, and Orange Cassidy wins. I would have had Penta win, but they seem bound and determined to try to do a bit of a reset with Orange Cassidy, and maybe, I don't know, justify how they had that feud going with Chris Jericho last year, and it seemed like they were going to elevate him, and then they kind of did nothing with him. I'm not a fan of Orange Cassidy, but they want to do something with him. Hell, he might be the TNT champion at some point. He can work. He can. I'm just not a fan of the gimmick. But anyway, cut to Shivani interviewing Britt Baker backstage about the rankings, and Britt wants to be a top. I think I understood that correctly, but maybe not. She wants to take the title from Hikaru Shida. Obviously, she will at the pay-per-view. And I got nothing against Hikaru Shida. Love Hikaru Shida. I wish they'd feature her a little bit more. Feature her on Dark Elevation and Dark if you need to, but have her defend the title more often. You know, like on Dynamite, no, they just don't want to do that. I know they don't have a lot of depth to the women's division, but come on, guys, you could do better. Then we cut to Shivani in the ring for the the parlay between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. The Pinnacle have security, and then the Inner Circle have motorcycle security. I wonder if they were from the Super Spreader event that Chris Jericho went to last year. Wait, positive. There were some positives here. I will say, however, though, maybe the pyro that close to motorcycles that were just recently running, maybe not the best idea. Just saying. It'd be a bit dangerous, but it is what it is. The ego-stroking Judas entrance. Look, I'm not against watching some of those, women wrestlers dance around. I'm all for that because, let's be honest, a lot of them don't get featured that much. And hey, if they're going to pay them, they might as well, do something and look like they're all exuberant. That's okay. But it's such an ego-stroking entrance, and for a guy that is not going to be wrestling in a year, I will be amazed if Chris Jericho is wrestling at this time next year. And I don't mean for AEW, I mean for anybody. So Spears got a mic, and he yelled at Sammy, saying Sammy always takes losses, and Sammy says, well, you were a failure where you used to work. They just can't help themselves. And then Cash calls out Santana Ortiz. They calls him soft, and Jericho lapdogs, and Dax gets on the mic and basically says, well, you have a little girl at home. No, I got kids too, but you guys say daddy's not coming home. Hold your kids tight. And then MJF to Jericho, thank you. I know you wanted to hear those words for a while. Without you, there is no AEW. You were the bridge to bring the prolapsed fan over. I think I also misunderstood that, but whatever, I'm rolling with it. Prolapsed fan. Gross. And he says, your bloodshot eyes, you're worn down, you're beat up and everything. You're going to be replaced. Your spot is mine. Your soul is mine. And Jericho calls him a self-righteous prick. Talks about Tetris, like MJF just slides right there, down. Gross. Just sliding his big old block right down there. And then he talks about his stuff all over the world, wrestling in Germany and Mexico and stuff like that, and wrestling in Japan. Before he was jerking the curtain in WCW 25 years ago, which it was actually ECW. Did Jericho go to WCW in April of 1996? I'm trying to remember, because I know he was in ECW in 90. I want to say in late 95, early 96. I'm trying to remember the exact timeline. He was in WCW for about a few years. But anyway, he says, we are a family. He's got all his sisters with him. Goes over the Inner Circle's accolades. You're going to have to kill us to make us submit. 1969 was the summer of love. 2021 is going to be the summer of violence. And summer, starts early for you. Okay, as much as I knocked Jericho, for good reason, that was a good promo. That was. And if that was, if they hadn't done that, ridiculous revenge brawl that was so goddamn stagey, if they had done promos like this and maybe then gotten into a bit of a brawl, like, oh no, what the hell's going on? This is a bit of a preview. I would have been okay with it. The match may end up being good. Blood and guts, though. I know they can't use the War Games name, but it's like good God, blood and guts. It's like somebody's going to need to take a scythe and disembowel their opponents live on TNT. And I don't think TNT execs would like that. I think they would frown upon seeing people actually disemboweled, at least in a wrestling ring. But anyway, they disemboweled their own goddamn company with the AOL-Time Warner merger, but I digress. That was a good promo. That was good stuff. I look forward to the match and hope the match is pretty goddamn good. So anyway, we have Kingston coming out while MT Nakazawa, I hate that guy. I hate him. I don't even hate him as a person. I just hate the fucking character. I hate the fact this guy exists in a mainstream wrestling program when there are so many people, Jacob Fatu, Hammerstone, so many other people that work so goddamn... Filthy Tom Lawler, well actually he's in New Japan Strong, so actually he's doing pretty well for himself. There are people on the indies here in Washington alone that could have used a spot like this. That would have been better. And wouldn't have been a joke like MT Nakazawa. I mean, not that I'm, advocating for people on the indies to basically leave a prime spot and then, go be a joke character. But good God, they could have made this work so much better than Nakazawa, who is just not good. So anyway, Kingston says, I'm not doing the sports entertainment crap. And Kingston you can give him anything and he will come across as real. The segment didn't do for him what it should have done. Omega talks about payback. Nakazawa hits him with the laptop and everything. And then, Kingston sells that briefly, but then ends up, putting the headset on, joking headset because he's Kenny's assistant. Nakazawa is and hits the spinning back fist. Omega cannot cut a promo. Cutler gets thrown out. Moxley gloms him. They throw Omega in the ring. They're going to break his ankle, with the chair and say to Callis, well, you better give us a match. You better give us a match. You better give us what we want. Oh, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. And they get a match with Omega and Nakazawa next week. If Nakazawa is not beaten with one goddamn move when he gets in the ring, he shouldn't get in any offense at all. That's a joke. See you next week. The thing is I understand what they were trying to do here, but here's the thing. I don't care if anybody beats up Omega. I just don't want to see him on my television. I would rather they would have taken that chair and dotted Don Callis right between the goddamn eyes. Not that it would have hurt his brain, because he'd have to have a brain there to hurt, but it is what it is. Taz then talks about Brian Cage and the FTW Championship, which means absolutely nothing and never meant anything. And then another Cage shows up. Way too many Cages and pages on this goddamn show. Christian Cage shows up. You wish you could come back, but you can't. And it's not win or lose, it's win or learn. Outwork everyone. I just can't get over that. It's so goddamn stupid. Okay, they want to have Cage feud with Team Taz. He talked about facing Ricky Starks. Okay, I'm all for it. So Sammy just comes out with flashcards for the commercial break, I guess, to hype up Blood and Guts, which sounds like Bad Doom DLC. Okay, bit weird. But anyway, we then have Penelope Ford with Kip versus Chris Statlander with Orange Cassidy. Referee Aubrey. Okay, the women certainly tried here. Penelope has improved. And Statlander, I like Statlander as a worker. I think she's statuesque. I think she's got a great look. I don't like the alien thing. I don't. And if it's good for her, that's fine. It's not for me. I don't really care for it, but it is what it is. This was fine. There was some decent action. Penelope ends up at one point smashing her knees on the apron, which had to have hurt, and then hits the knee drop on the apron successfully a little bit later. Then they did a bit of stuff with Kip and Orange Cassidy and Big Bang Theory, 1, 2, 3, just folding Penelope up right there in front of Kip. Maybe giving Kip ideas. I don't have any idea. But yeah, the match was fine. It was well worked, and I'm glad they gave the women some time, but I don't know. I almost feel like Kylan King versus Danny Jordan from Dark would have been better in this spot. I get for storyline purposes why they put this here, but maybe it was because some of the show had been just so, maybe it's because of the previous segment was a little bit messy. So we then get a video package on 10, talking about Brody Lee's influence and good stuff. More of this, please. Don't have so many matches go on too long. Give us some video packages to care about people. So, the Nightmare Express, a bus. It's like the Lex Express, only shittier. Because you have the factory there. You have QT, Nick Camarado, Aaron Solo, and Anthony Monster Agogo. Alright, and then boom, they're suddenly in the ring. Obviously, this is a taped show. So QT, Camarado, and Solo with Anthony Monster Agogo are there. And then Billy, Dustin, and Lee Johnson glom them. It's a jump start, and look, I appreciate the efforts of all the people here, and I'm glad the Camarado's game feature. I'm glad they're trying to feature some new talent. Here's the thing, this feels like the Natural Born Thrillers exploding, and I didn't really care about the Natural Born Thrillers, and they're trying to make QT, a bit like Mike Sanders. Here's the thing, Mike Sanders, for as much as I couldn't stand him, could cut promos. QT cannot really cut promos. And Camarado ends up, kind of being featured a little bit here. But Johnson gets a hot tag, and then Monster Go-Go ends up... If you get Monster Go-Go, by the way, bless you. and he hits Billy and then hits Lee Johnson, and QT covers Lee 1-2-3. 1-2 Lee, if you will. And then Camarado hits Dustin with the cowbell because he's got a fever, and the only prescription is hopefully better booking. Billy's kids attack, and then QT, gets back out to the bus or whatever. And Cody is standing. Now, Cody's 6'3", something like that, 6'2", 6'3". He's standing there in the bus window. Now, I know that, sometimes object permanence is a little bit difficult for people, but seriously, QT didn't fucking see him right there in the bus window? Seriously? What the fuck was that? And then he beats him up. They battle on top of the bus and everything. Aubrey's up there for some reason. They're going to have a bus match. Who the fuck? No, they're not going to have a bus match. Cody puts the figure 4 on him and everything. Cody thinks he's his dad. He's not his dad. It's really actually kind of fucking hilarious how much he thinks he's his dad. And all right, this is painful. Here's why this is painful, because I don't mind them trying to feature people, but I don't care about this feud at all. Next week, Cody versus QT. Are we waiting for a pay-per-view? Oh, we are fucking not. They're probably gonna watch them do another Blood and Guts at the pay-per-view. Watch them do that. Watch them do the one on free TV between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. Or, well, maybe then watch them do an elimination match or something like that at the pay-per-view. They're going to have to do something because they got to get everybody on the goddamn card. Omega and Nakazawa versus Moxley and Kingston. And then for May 12th, Jon Moxley versus Yuji Nagata for the IWGP US Championship. And some people were messaging me and saying, why the hell is Nagata getting a shot or whatever? They shouldn't be featuring old guys. You know your fucking goddamn mind. Let me collect myself here for a goddamn second. There were some people comparing Nagata to Goldberg. I would like to say personally to every single one of them, fuck you, you're a fucking idiot. Goldberg on his best day could not even do half of what Nagata could do on his worst day. Now, I'm not saying that Goldberg wasn't a big draw. He was, but Goldberg was never a wrestler. He sure loved to kick people, like when he kicked Bret Hart in the goddamn head at Starrcade 99. He since apologized for that, but anyway, Yuji Nagata has been delivering great match. Yuji Nagata delivered a great match in the New Japan Cup last year against Minoru Suzuki. Great match. And he's in his early 50s. He can still fucking go. He could fucking go for another few years if he really wanted to. And Moxley called out Yuji Nagata, and I'm all for it. I want to see this shit happen. Anyway, SCU versus Jurassic Express versus Varsity Blondes versus the Acclaim 4-way eliminator match. Kip talks to Miro. Well, he tries to, but he's in a very loud shirt that obviously angers Miro. He beats him up, chokes him with a chain, throws him into a bunch of lockers and everything, and he beat him up for that shirt. I vote for an acquittal. And he says, I forgive you. So, okay, here's a question. Why don't you just feature Miro like this to begin with? I'm not saying that, Miro is unsalvageable, but at this point, like, really, this is what they're doing? I don't know. I don't necessarily think that they can do a reset on Miro and make it work, but I'm all for him going absolutely insane and going for championships. But it's not like Kip did anything except lose the Arcade Anarchy match, which, by the way, was one of the worst matches of the year. If they can reset Miro and manage to pull it off, good for them. But yeah, I'm not really sold on this. I mean, it's better than what they've been doing with him, but it seems like it's too little too late. 10 with Dark Order versus Darby with Sting. TNT title match. This was fine. This was fine. 10 is not bad. He's still, I don't really think should be in main events. I get why they did it. Darby wants to defend his title. And hey, at least they put a championship match on in the main event. Darby had to evade while 10 uses power. Later we get a nice armbar by Darby. Darby is really goddamn good. And then Ethan Page attacks Darby while everybody else is seemingly distracted having a picnic. Darby tears at the mask and gets caught in a full Nelson, but pushes off the ropes. We've seen that finish many times. 1, 2, 3. And then Page here, Ethan Page that is, and Scorpio Sky chop block Sting and gets the heel hook. And oh great, oh no, he's fallen and he can't get up. And Archer and 10 make the save. I don't know. It just seems like they're trying to do way too much, I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.